Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Yes, here we go. Follow the Money. Paulie Howard, Matt Humans, welcome in. Presented by DraftKings. Loaded show coming up. Nigel Seeley, the Seeley brothers today. Nigel on soccer, Jeff Seeley on golf, Michael Lombardi, surprises, disappointments, his thoughts on the upcoming NFL season, some win totals that he likes, the real Tony Rizzo, our guy in Cleveland. We'll preview the Browns today, and we stumbled upon something yesterday. You liked the topic, and it was good. And we'll continue it today with a thorough list, worst coaches in NFL history. And Rizzo was in the middle of it with Hugh Jackson and Larry the Cable Guy. Freddie Kitchens. We'll get to Real or Fugazi, a little bit on the MLB card, a lot on the NBA draft tonight, a big trade as well, and a tribute to our friend Dave Koken coming up as well, a titan in this industry. I was not myself yesterday. Sad news driving in on X, what he tweeted, which got almost 400,000 views. Incredible, and I was shook by his tweet. We'll get to all that coming up. Win some, lose some in a busy show as well. How you doing, all right?
Great to be here, man. NBA draft day.
Yep.
And even though it's a draft a lot of people are dumping on, I'm looking forward to it. I have a few bets writing tonight, so looking forward to the NBA draft, and always love to talk NFL with Michael Lombardi and golf with Indy Jeff. So big show today.
Yep, great job by Luke. It is a dynamite program. We got the big news before the draft where the Knicks acquire Bridges. Bridges wanted to go to New York. Let's just get all the Villanova guys together, right? And try to win a championship. So he wanted to go to the Knicks. The Nets had no leverage. So they decided, well, if he's going to leave, we better get something for him. And they get a ton of picks. Four
unprotected first-round picks, which I cannot believe.
Which now means the Nets have 16 first-round picks through 2031. The Nets and the Thunder have 8 of the 30 first-round picks next year. How about that? So you also look at this. Why are you surprised?
Huh?
Why were you surprised with the picks?
How do you give up four first-round picks for a player who's never been an all-star?
Okay.
That's why I was surprised.
Well, they have so many picks. They think they're close. I think they're going to give the Celtics a competitive series if they were healthy, but I think that's what they're thinking.
There's some good players in this draft.
Well,
you got to draft and develop players too. That's still the key to being a winning franchise is draft and develop, and I don't care what league it is, that's true.
They will lose Hartenstein as a result of this. Yep. They can't keep him. They're confident they're going to get OG. Now, if you put it all together and add it up, the Nets for Kevin Durant got Cam Johnson, 9 first-round picks, and 5 second-round picks. That was the haul for Durant. So they have a lot of cap space next year. Can they land a superstar or a big-name free agent? They have all these picks now, so they're totally rebuilding after the disaster that was Harden, Kyrie, and Durant. And now the Knicks have moved from 10-1, 9-1 to win the title. And who knows, they might make another move as well. So that's your big NBA trade. The Knicks get Bridges, and then all the implications with the picks as well, and a little bit of movement in the futures board.
Yeah, I really thought the Knicks were going to use their picks wisely, and they were going to beef up the roster based on some guys I thought they could pick in the first round. And it's a little bit disappointing to me to see him make this trade, even though he's a good player. He's had some issues off the court, Paul. It's funny how quickly people tend to forget about some of those things.
Yeah, well, he also, I think you'll see what kind of player he was in Phoenix as well, because you have so many stars, or good players, rather, on that team. And I'm not asking him to do much. Bogdanovich was also in the trade.
Yep.
But, I mean, that's a good player that can score, can help out Brunson, take some pressure off him. And, I can say it because I can't prove it, but they were just decimated by injury, what happened. And it's still, you took on a Sixer team that wasn't that great, and then you ran into Indiana, who had also was a 6 seed. But I wanted to see what that team looked like fully healthy. And now that you get Bridges and you have Randall coming back and OG healthy for a full season.
How do you know that? How do you know OG is going to be healthy?
I don't think you make this move without getting an assurance that you're close or he's going to come back, right? Why would you trade all those
Even if you get him back, he's never stayed healthy for a season.
Yeah, that's true. But also, if he's – the problem with him is he won't go out there unless he's 100%. And he's been very clear and adamant about that, and that's the frustrating thing. Like, you can't go to war with the guy.
I know.
Right? If he's, I woke up, I wasn't feeling right. Can't go.
My problem with Tom Thibodeau is he doesn't like to play young players.
Yeah.
right? They draft Obi Toppin, and he never finds a way to use him and discards Obi Toppin. Thibodeau only wants veterans, and he will play his guys heavy minutes and burn them out. And then that's a big reason why you have a team that's injured in the playoffs, because you're playing your starters too many minutes, and you don't trust the young guys, and you're not playing your bench. That's the weakness of Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, that I'll agree with. But that's the big news today. Last night in the NBA. Also, you're hearing some rumblings of Woj bomb that maybe the Rockets trying to get Durant. The Suns want to run it back, though, but the Rockets also trying to be aggressive in what they could do and maybe make some moves as well. So maybe, who knows? We're not done. Maybe we see some other trades.
I can really see a bunch of trades.
Yeah, and a lot of things going on here before the draft. Let me give you the updated movements. Now, per gaming rules, everything comes off the board here with the draft day up. So we have nothing here in Nevada. But at DraftKings, the numbers and the movement going back the last few weeks, Richelet to go number one, minus 260 at DraftKings. He was minus 330 at William Hill. Klingon got as low as plus 180. He was 13-1 a week and a half ago. Got down to 6-1, as low as plus 180. Now that's bumped up to like plus 270 now in that range. Sar was minus 150 to go number one overall at one point. Then said, I'm not working out, forget it. And then he's 6-1. Castle was 60-1. Now he's down to 22-1 at DraftKings and 15-1 at William Hill. There was a workout he did with the Hawks. Some people said, okay, I'll buy into that and take a chance. So that explains well his movement, but it's not a lock. I mean, how many times you go back and think about this, that it's the day of the draft and you're only seeing like 260 for a guy to go number one overall. So there could be a surprise tonight. Who knows? Stranger things have happened.
I actually think there's a high likelihood there's going to be a surprise at number one, number two, number three, because there's no consensus opinion on who the top player is in this draft.
Interesting.
In fact, I've heard it change over the past 2 weeks.
Because if you follow the money and you go...
Yeah, but I think people are guessing.
If you go...
Right?
That could be. But if you go Richelet, if it goes 1, 2, 3 in order, Sar, and then Reed Shepherd, that pays $1.10 if you want the exacta. And there's been heavy steam on all of them. And now Sar is up to $8 at William Hill, Caesars, $6.50 at DraftKings to go number two.
Well, there has been an info leak there that's almost certain to be the number two pick of the draft. Now, if there's a trade, that could change. But, Paul, I think if you're going to play it, that exact is probably the way to play it, because it looks like those are going to be the first three off the board. Hey, if one of those is wrong, at least you're playing something there at, what'd you say, plus 110?
Minus 110. If it comes 1, 2, 3, yes. Third pick, Shepherd. He was plus 130. And he got to 190 at DraftKings to go third, as high as 225 at William Hill. That's what you're looking at with the top three. And then the Bronny James steam continues.
Oh, please.
A couple weeks ago, 38.5 draft position, under plus 120, 49.5 over minus 180 now. Well, with Bronny James.
I mentioned this with you yesterday or the day before. On the Friday night show I do with Will Hill, we were sitting here talking about this. I was in your chair, and I said this, Bronny James draft position props of 39.5, and that is a bad number. That should be at least 10 spots higher. It should be 49.5, if not higher than that. And it's taken a long time for the market to ever actually move in this direction. But that's not the worst part of the Bronny James betting in this draft.
You're right. Now, this is what I always say, people bet what they want to see. But this is next level. This is a theater of the absurd here. David Purdom wants to do an article on it. I commend him. He's reaching out to people. Just saying, take me through your thought process here. What are you thinking? Because all these books have off-the-charts liability. People are betting nonstop Bronny James to go number one overall.
The only thing I could say that is the stupidity of the average public bettor never ceases to amaze me. Why in the hell would you ever bet Bronny James to go number one? And here's another thing. If you just want to donate money, don't donate it to a bookmaker. Send it to the Shriners Children's Hospital or a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
Don't donate money to a bookmaker for no reason. Bronny James has 0% chance to go number one. Why would anyone bet that?
That's why I want to see Purdom do an article on it. Like, walk me through what you're thinking here. about why. I mean, you'd have to be 250 to 1. It's not even close to what. I mean, the chances he goes in the first round minimal. Will he even get drafted? You have your questions about that. We'll see if he goes in the second round tomorrow. But to go number 1 overall, and it's just people continue to bet this at all these books. And they ask these traders, what do you think? Well, it's a disaster if he goes number 1, which you don't have to worry about it. But that is just, I'm speechless with that. And I would love to see an article done just talking to people who bet this about, what are you thinking here? Like, what is your, and I like, if you're going to donate money, give it to an animal shelter or whatever that may be. But that certainly is just, I keep reading this stuff, and it's hilarious, and you want to fall over, dying of laughter. That Bronny James number 1 pick overall. So other surprises or other things you think could happen tonight? I know you've given out some bets here, but also where will Edey go? I'm interested to see where he'll land and some of these UConn players as well.
I'll tell you a player I really, really like is Dalton Knecht from Tennessee. 6'7", got a 6'9" wingspan. He can score at all 3 levels on the floor. I think his game is made for the NBA. Wouldn't surprise me if he sneaks into the top 5. Early this week, his draft position prop was 9.5. That's moved to 7.5. I think Knecht might end up being the best player out of this draft. Donovan Clingan from UConn. Paul, would it stun you if he went number 1?
No.
I don't think so, right?
No, absolutely. That's why this is a little bit of intrigue tonight. And even when do you see a number 1 pick only minus 260 in that range? It reminds me a lot of 2013, which we'll get to up next. Nobody knows anything. All the all-time busts in the draft, guys who couldn't play, and the worst hot take from a sports talk show host maybe ever.
All right, the NFL Betting Guide comes out Thursday. Never been a better time to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. By the way, this NFL Betting Guide is going to be the most valuable football preview magazine you're going to find. It's all written from a betting perspective, full of best bets. For a limited time, get an annual subscription to VSiN Pro at an unbeatable price. Now it's just $199 with promo code FTM, plus you get an extra month for free. 13 months of VSiN Pro access.
Yeah.
Everything we do, 24/7 video. VSiN.com, you get the first access to everything we put out, including the NFL Betting Guide tomorrow. VSiN.com/subscribe.
All right. The real deal. Tony Rizzo up next to preview the Browns.
Browns have had some bad coaches.
Yes, right. And he's been through the wars, and he has the scars to prove it with Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens and the Factory of Sadness. And yesterday we previewed the Chargers, and I thought Staley's one of the worst coaches in NFL history.
He made some of the worst decisions in NFL history, but his record's not going to put him in the category with the worst coaches. Right?
Well, that's like Rich Kotite, though. I mean,
Rich Kotite was 4-28 as Jets coach.
Yeah, but he was good with the Eagles. So I also Staley had a lot of talent.
Hugh Jackson had a decent record with the Raiders.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I know. And he blew a division. I remember that game against the Lions. With 5 minutes left, they scored a touchdown to go up 12. He kicked the extra point. They lost by 1, and they blew the division.
Right.
What happened? So we got into that discussion, and it was a good response on X, ftm@vsin.com. By the way, you can email, get in touch with the show, ftm@vsin.com, or tweet at us. In this, I mentioned, because I was a Minnesota fan, Les Steckel in the early 80s, how bad he was. He was 1 and done, 3-13. But you have compiled a list here of what you think are the worst coaches in NFL history. It's a good list. There's guys on there I forgot about. There's some oldies but goodies. There's some favorites and some obvious ones. And it's a good list. And this is also fun to go through. And this also came up, too, about how bad McDaniels was with the Raiders, about in-game decisions and blowing halftime leads and blowing fourth-quarter leads left and right.
Wow.
And a lot of that is strategy, in-game management, in-game decisions, and a lot of that comes back and how bad McDaniels was, too. But a lot of this, you got a lot of good names here.
Yeah, also got to give some credit to a friend of ours, a fan of your show, Patrick O., who sent in a couple of submissions, some ideas for this list as well. Hugh Jackson, based on record, his run with the Browns had to be the worst there is. 3-36-1.
Yeah, that's
You're not going to find much worse.
Yeah.
Now, there's some guys on this list, and one that I thought of right away that never comes up in the worst coaches discussion is Cam Cameron, who coached the Miami Dolphins in 2007 and was a play away from going 0-16, and he went 1-15. Another coach.
I forgot about that one. Yes, that was ugly. A 1-15, one and done.
Cam
Good
Cameron.
job.
Rod Rust of the New England Patriots in 1990. The Pats They won their Week 2 game. They were 1-1. They lost the next 14. They went 1-15, and they had a minus 265 point differential, the third worst in NFL history.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe, and you can help us out, Nesson. I believe that was the worst offense in NFL history. I think they scored the fewest points in a season, and they had the second worst defense that year too. So that's a good one with Rust. Excellent.
So keep it on the East Coast. Rich Kotite, who was successful with the Eagles, somewhat successful,
36-28,
gets hired by the Jets, and he goes 4-28. How about Mike Shula, son of Don Shula? Gets a job with the Cincinnati Bengals from 92 to 96. He goes 19-52. He was in over his head.
That was his record?
Unqualified for the job. 19-52.
Oh, wow.
Why did
he get so many
Everyone
years?
remembers Marty Morningweg, right?
Yeah, he screwed up the overtime decision. He gave the Bears the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
5-27, his record with the Lions.
Wow.
I threw Dave Campo of the Cowboys on the list. Campo went 5-11, 3 straight years as Cowboys. Jerry Jones hangs on to coaches too long. I really think this year, after the playoff debacle against the Packers, he should have fired McCarthy and hired Bill Belichick.
100%.
How big a coaching upgrade would that have been for Dallas?
Please.
To dump Big Mike and bring in Belichick. So a couple... Urban Meyer. Do we have to put Urban Meyer on the list? 2-11 with a minus 160 point differential in his brief abbreviated season with the Jaguars?
Has to be. A lot of this is how do you handle these? How do you handle the team and how do you treat people? And that was a big part of it. They hated him, no doubt. That's fair. You brought up Morningweg. Can I also throw in Rod Marinelli?
Sure.
Who went 3-13, 7-9, and then went 0-16.
Yep.
Didn't win a game with the Lions and he was let go as well. So, yeah, Urban Meyer's
better suited as a defensive coordinator than he was a head coach. There have been a lot of guys like that, right?
Yeah.
How about Nathaniel Hackett? Should we put him on the list of worst NFL coaches?
Has to be,
right?
Has to be. And the only reason he's employed is because he's friends with Rodgers, and Rodgers goes to bat for him. Look at his resume and his track record as an offensive coordinator. But then, I mean, it was so bad in Denver, he had to be one and done. I mean, they couldn't even get the plays in on time, what he was doing, and you got the fans counting down the play clock with what he was just totally in over his head.
His first game as coach, he settled for a 64-yard field goal attempt, right? It was all downhill from there.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair to have him on that list. Yeah.
Should we put Bobby Petrino on the list?
Yes, I had him written down. Yes.
Okay.
He went 3-10. The players hated him. He quit and put a note on their lockers.
Right.
Sorry, guys, I'm taking the Arkansas job. I'm out. I mean, how bad was that?
That's bad.
And also not a people person. What happened, and I think my best Halloween costume ever. It's on my Instagram at Paulie Does Vegas. Going up as Petrino, though, with what happened with the motorcycle accident and the guma on the bike.
By the way, that was not a motorcycle accident.
Oh, okay. Well, we get.
You know that, right?
Family show. The
people know the story about Bobby Petrino by now, right? And it's not a motorcycle accident.
With the neck brace?
Yeah. I
don't know where you're going.
You don't know the real story?
His whole face was beat up.
Yeah, he got beat up.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, I thought there was a bike on the road. We faked the whole thing?
By the boyfriend? You don't know that story?
No. The boyfriend found out. No.
Yeah.
I thought it was a motorcycle accident.
That was not a motorcycle.
Because he showed up with the neck brace and his face was all.
No.
Okay.
No.
I thought he told the cops
he got the crap beat out of him.
Okay.
By somebody's boyfriend.
Because you told the cops. Remember when the cops came over? He told them what happened, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The
Alibi?
people who were there,
witnesses.
The witnesses said there was a woman there though, and that's why there was a woman who was on the back of the bike,
and
maybe he wanted to keep that under wraps.
Maybe your boyfriend was the one who beat the crap out of him.
Okay, very good, excellent. But certainly he has to be on the list as well. Do you have?
I think two of the clumsiest guys I've ever heard as head coaches in the NFL who were way in over their heads. would be Freddie Kitchens of the Browns and Jim Tom Sula of the 49ers.
I don't recall Tom Sula. You brought him up yesterday.
I call him the janitor.
Yeah.
My nickname for him is the janitor because that's the job he was qualified for with the 49ers. He should have been a janitor at the team headquarters.
All right, he's had success other places, but it was certainly bad, and that's when the 49ers were going through an ugly stretch there, and Chip Kelly was also one and done. I think he won 2 games. But certainly Shanahan's been great in what Harbaugh was able to do. McDaniels has got to be on that list. I mean, he was so bad with the Raiders, Kitchens, Tom Sula.
Was Josh McDaniels worse with the Raiders than he was with the Broncos?
Another good
with the
one.
Broncos, he started out 5-0 or 6-0, I think.
And then
everything went south.
Yeah. But a disaster with Denver, and certainly I just saw he sold his house here and took a loss on it. With
it's
how
hard
that
to
trend.
do that in this market.
Yeah. Right. So Hugh Jackson, 336-1. Freddie, Rod Rust is a good one. I mean, you can't. That's to win one game, and then you have the worst offense all time and second worst defense. And I forgot about Cam Cameron, 1-15. Who was the guy? Chud? Didn't Chud go 1-15? Chudzinski? What was his name?
Oh, yeah.
The Browns, he went 1-15. The Browns again?
That's a good question for our next guest. By the way, the Chargers have had a lot of bad coaches we didn't even talk about on this list.
Anthony Lynn, Staley, who else are we missing?
Oh, you have to go way back. Chargers had some, Tommy Prothro, they had some really poor coaches in the past. Yeah.
Good list.
Had one of my favorites, too, Don Coryell. But,
Sure, yeah. But, it goes back to what we said earlier.
So who's the worst? Who is the worst? I guess let's get some audience response on this.
Yeah, well, it also depends your criteria. Like, do you have to have a talented team and you continue to underperform and you can't get a Staley to win 5 games last year was an embarrassment. Total debacle. And they quit on him and what happened out here. But it goes back to also, what are you doing and what are you thinking with common sense? You're in the playoffs with a tie in the Sunday night game. You blow that. You're playing starters in a meaningless game. You lose Williams. You keep them in, Allen and Herbert. Blowing a 27-0 second-half playoff game and refusing to run the ball. You're horrible defensively. You're going for it on your own 20 in key games, and that continues to blow up in your face. Same cliches and stuff with the media after the game as well. So FTM at vsin.com. Tweet at us as well. Worst coaches in NFL history, and we'll get his thoughts coming up because he's there, and he lived through Hugh Jackson. Tony Rizzo up next, Browns preview. Check out vsin.com every day. Bookmark it, make it your home, make it your spot. Shoemaker on the WNBA, Lombardi and Brett Musburger on the NFL, win totals, predictions, Von Tobel on the NBA draft. You got to read Wes Reynolds every week on golf with his breakdowns. Had Kim last week. Almost got there. Loses in a playoff. Betting splits, best bets, odds by state, betting tools. Check it out, vsin.com. Michael Lombardi joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Check out GM Shuffle Pod. Humans on tomorrow. Femi's in studio tomorrow as well. And he joins us, talk a little NFL as well, and also Lombardi Line. Appreciate the time, sir. Matt is big on the Chargers. Thinks they're going to go over their win total. Do you think the Chargers go over their win total now with the huge upgraded Coach Harbaugh coming in, Staley out?
The guide comes out tomorrow, and they asked me to write for the guide, which I think is important that as we spend time preparing and studying to get some of the great content that's in the guide, including stuff that you wrote, Paulie, and Matt writes in there. And I talked about the new coaches, and I think one of the things you look for is what the team needs and what the coach brings, right? So let's just take Raheem Morris is going to bring defense to the Falcons. Well, they need players, not new schemes, right? So I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have. Maybe Kirk Cousins will have some. But Harbaugh is going to bring toughness, he's going to bring discipline, and he's going to bring accountability to the Chargers. All those 3 things they desperately need, and were in a lot of close games, but they couldn't win them. And I think because of that, because of what he brings to his team and the competitive nature that he represents, I think it's going to make a huge difference, and I see them going over their win total as well.
Hey, Michael, we'll talk about this on your show tomorrow, but the Chargers, initially I didn't want to buy into the Harbaugh hype. I thought they were going to be overrated. But when I've studied all the moves they've made and followed everything they've done, I think they made all the right moves in the offseason. in the draft. And also, you can't underestimate this. Jim Harbaugh inherits a last-place schedule because the Chargers went 5-12, and you've got the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Patriots, and who else am I leaving off? The Titans on that last-place schedule. So he's a turnaround artist, but he also inherits a really soft schedule that I think is going to help launch the Chargers over this 8.5 win total.
Well, there's 4 there. If he gets those, and he's got the Raiders, assuming that their coach won't be in bankruptcy court, he's got those for 2 games too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, the Raiders don't have it. The Raiders don't even have a quarterback right now. It's up in the air, and neither quarterback showed anything in the mini camps, according to what we have learned. Mm-hmm. And so there's 2 wins there that the Chargers could get. Now you're at 6. You got a chance to be at 6 against low-level teams. I mean, the Raiders are going to be good on defense, but who's throwing the ball to any of their receivers? So for me, I think it's an overplay all the way.
Okay, so take us through do you see the same thing then, same breakdown with Seattle and the new coach angle? Take us through Seattle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Seattle's an interesting team, right? Everybody says, Seattle, home field advantage. They play well up there. Not true, right? They haven't been a great home team. And Pittsburgh went in there and put 400 yards with Mason Rudolph on them last year and scored 34 points in a game they needed to win. And so I think what's happened to Pete up there over his time was the defense could never get to the level that it was when he first arrived. And they lost their home field advantage because their defense couldn't get any stops. They couldn't stop the run at all. And I think ultimately that will change with Mike Macdonald. Look, Mike Macdonald took 2 players off the street, right? One, Jadeveon Clowney, he took him and, had his best year ever for the Ravens last year. And then he takes Kyle Van Noy off the Pat McAfee show, and he gets 9 sacks out. They get 18.5 sacks out of 2 guys who weren't on teams in August. Think about that. And so I think his scheme will really help Seattle. They'll be better fundamentally. I think last year Clint Hurt, that the defensive coordinator, didn't do the job he needed to do. Now he's the D-line coach here in Philadelphia. So I see them improving. And look, let's face it, they're talented on offense. I mean, they've got good skill. Kenneth Walker's a really good runner, and their receivers are really good. And Jigba could have a great season for them. Geno Smith, if he's protected, we know he's very accurate with the football. And last year they lost both starting tackles for an extended period of time to where, they had to bring in a bunch of guys to play. Jason Peters, especially at age 40, had to show up and play tackle for them. That's how desperate they were to find tackles. So I think this is a great idea, a great opportunity for them.
All right. So hot on the Chargers, hot on Seattle. I'm picking up what you're putting down here. I do not like too many losses for Miami, right? Now you lose all these guys on defense, plus Fangio leaves. Why are you down on the Dolphins?
Well, I'm down on the Dolphins because the reason why Fangio left is why I'm down on the Dolphins. The Dolphins players said they worked him too hard. And they thought, and so now they're going to go less work. How's that ever worked out? The second half of the season, Mike McDaniels as a head coach, the second half of the season is below 500. His teams have always faded. So why would I buy into that? Why would I buy into the fact that they're going to get better all of a sudden? When you look at the history of him and his career there, they start fast and they fade at the end, and they faded poorly last year. So, I just think to me they're not going to be as good defensively without Fangio. They've lost some really good players. Now, look, Calais Campbell was a good signing for them. I'll give them that. But, you lose Van Ginkel. Chubb's coming off an injury. Phillips is coming off an injury. And then where are they offensively? Tua still hasn't gotten his contract done yet, and I think that's going to really resonate. Have you seen Tua lately, how skinny he is? He doesn't look like – it looks like he's just a different person. And I worry about his health, especially considering – that they haven't improved their offensive line at all.
Yeah, I am not a Trevor Lawrence guy, not the coach and the quarterback combination with Jacksonville. I've never bought into that. And Trevor Lawrence just got paid. Next on the list of underachievers in the postseason who are going to get paid, Dak Prescott, Tua. I want to ask you quickly about the Cowboys because I like the Eagles a lot, and I think the Vic Fangio move to D.C. is going to help Philadelphia tremendously. Have the Cowboys done anything at all to get better in the offseason?
No, because I think my view, Matt, on the Cowboys was they overachieved last year. Everybody thinks they underachieved. I think they overachieved. I mean, they were not great defensively, especially when they lost Diggs as a corner. Bland had a lot of interceptions, but people went after him. And in terms of playing man-to-man to cover, that's going to be an issue. Diggs is going to make his plays. He's a guesser. He's going to guess right a lot. Sometimes he won't. But I think at the end of the day, are the Cowboys good enough? They had 5 losses last year, all on the road. Why is that? Well, they couldn't protect. I mean, their offensive line struggled on the road last year. It wasn't because they just didn't play good on the road. They struggled to protect on the road. They got the chance to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia at the Link. They got first and goal at the 6, and, they can't block Riddick coming off the edge. He gets sacked. Prescott gets sacked. I mean, it was brutal. And so why do you think when teams lose on the road, what does that tell us? Their offensive line isn't good enough. And I think that's the issue. Now, can Guyton go in there and play and start as a rookie? We'll see. Can the other kids start? Beebe start as a rookie? We'll see. And can you start 2 rookies in your offensive line and be very good? We'll see. Who's the runner? I mean, who's the runner? Pollard wasn't good enough. Zeke's an inside zone runner. He can't run outside. So where are they going to get it? I think ultimately there's a lot of question marks about their team.
Longtime NFL executive. Earlier we were discussing worst NFL coaches in NFL history. Give us, I want your list. Give me a couple guys.
Oh, I think Marion Campbell from the Falcons and the Eagles certainly qualifies. I think you have to look at his win percentage as a coach is always, challenging to look at. Les Steckel only 1 year. When a guy only goes 1 year, right, it's not good. And so I think you have to kind of really take a look at that. And when you see that, Marion Campbell is 46 games below 500. John McKay is 44 games below 500. I would add Gus Bradley in this list. I think you got to put him in there. And, of course, you can't overlook the great Hugh Jackson. You cannot. He's 33 games below 500. Yeah. You can't overlook him.
Where's Hackett?
You got to give him his due. Well, I think Nathaniel would be, at the top of the recent list. But there's a lot of guys that have, Steve Spagnuolo had a 21% winning percentage. I mean, that's not, Joe Bugle had a 30% winning percentage in his career as a coach. So I think, Hugh Jackson had a 20% winning percentage. When you're in that 20 percentile, you're in really bad shape. Now, it's interesting. The first, and I wrote about this in my book, Football Done Right. The worst coach of all time in NFL history was the former commissioner, Burt Bell. He had a 17% winning percentage. Now, the second worst coach in NFL, and I wrote about this in the book too, was Hugh Jackson. He has a 20%. Now, and Spagnuolo was third, Gus Bradley was fourth, and David Shula, former coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, was fifth.
Yeah. He's on our list. 19 and 52. Wow. Marion Campbell, 34 and 80. With the Eagles and the Falcons.
You can't. I mean, and he had 2 jobs. Marion got 2 now. He's a great. Sometimes guys, I'll give you another one. How about the great Darryl Rogers? He was a coach at Arizona State that the Lions hired and gave him all the power, and he just fell flat on his face. So we could spend all day on this list. Robert Saleh could qualify in this list too. Don't get me wrong here.
I know. Look at the record. No doubt. I can't wait to listen to you and the GM Shuffle pod as well. Femi in studio tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Michael Lombardi. What we're betting in pocket. And another move on Bronny James prop next.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
Winner with the Brewers yesterday.
Nice job.
It was anti-Haney, though, but he went 5 innings, 2 runs. He's the second worst pitcher in baseball, ROI. His record is 2-9, but he's been okay his last couple starts, but second worst ROI. He's kind of turned it around here from a individual standpoint, but 3-1 final, Brewers win. That ticket cashes. The new one, I'm going follow the money. Exacta parlay 1, 2, 3. Top 3 exacta tonight in the draft. Richeche number 1, Sarr number 2, Shepard number 3. Pays $1.10. The top 3 exacta. And if you follow the money, again, Richeche up to as high as $3.30 to go number 1. Sarr from $1.50 to $8 to go number 2. and Reed Shepherd plus 130 to minus 190. 225 at other spots to go third. And we have another update. Bronny James is now 54.5 over minus 160 draft position. And the Lakers picked 55th. So when did I bet that?
That DraftKings still 49.5.
Yep,
yeah,
that's right, but
competing book 54.5.
He was 38.5 not that long ago.
Friday night he was 39.5. Big move over Bronny James.
Yes. So that there. Good luck, everyone.
That's one of my best bets. One of my pending bets. Lakers to draft Bronny James, which I actually betted even money here on this show Monday at minus 110. Over 40.5 at minus 140. So a couple Bronny James bets. 58 picks in this NBA draft. And first round is tonight. Second round is Thursday night. Do we really need a two-day NBA draft?
Well, yes, because of the debate. You couldn't put the debate on. You had to move it with the debate Thursday.
Why don't you set both rounds tonight?
You could do that. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
I guess. I don't see. Well, how long would that take?
It's always been It's always been a one-day draft in the past. This is the first time it's a two-day draft.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lakers to draft Bronny.
Go on Wednesday. Come back. We'll see it Friday.
I'm not going to watch the debate, even though that's probably going to be a train wreck, right? Zach Edey, draft position over 16.5 minus 140. The one concern: do the Heat take him at number 15?
No.
This is a bet that I really, really like. Dalton Knecht from Tennessee, draft position under 9.5 at minus 140. Got to pay some juice on these, but I think these are all winners. Knecht, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the top 5. Probably my favorite draft prospect. This, you're a little late to the party now because it looks like 8.5 and 7.5 are the best numbers, are the numbers out there in the market. There are not many books putting up NBA draft props, Paul. And in Vegas, it's hard to find anything.
Now it's all off the board per gaming.
So that's what we've got for the NBA draft tonight. And then Chargers over 8.5 wins at minus 145, which is a number right behind us here at the Circa Sportsbook. And Michael Lombardi likes that as well, so it's good.
Ooh.
How about the Yankees?
How about the Mets? Here come the Mets.
Mets been red hot. Grimace gets a lot of the credit for this run for the Mets. Who was the genius in the Mets marketing department that said, let's have Grimace throw out the first pitch and turn around the entire season?
I know. Yeah. Well, I can't believe they did that. Of all people, Grimace.
It's awesome.
But I know.
It's one of my favorite stories of the baseball season.
And I love that they refuse. They won't like it. Embrace that. That's awesome. Wow, come on, Grimace. They are now here. My numbers. The Mets, Red Sox, Dodgers, and Astros all have 14 wins this month, all tied. 5 days left in June. What a race this is.
I think Gil Alexander has the Astros.
That's in the newsletter, according to Bill 80, yes. And Mitch has the Dodgers. I have the Cardinals. The Cardinals have 13. Rained out last night. Killer. But what a race this is with 5 days left and with two unlikely candidates, Mets and Boston. Wow. Okay, so Yankees blown out yesterday.
Yeah, how about Garrett Cole's start for the Yankees last night is a dumpster fire. Garrett Cole allowed 4 homers and had 0 strikeouts.
Ooh.
See that one coming?
No, I didn't.
The Mets lit up Garrett Cole. Hopefully Luis Gil has a much better start for the Yankees tonight. And Gil, you could put his numbers up against any pitcher in baseball previous to his last start when he got rocked by the Baltimore Orioles. That was that 17-5 game where the Baltimore bombed the Yankees in the Bronx. Gil 1 1/3, 8 hits, 7 runs. Every start prior to that had been either solid or outstanding for Luis Gil. I'm hoping he bounces back here. He just had one bad start against the Baltimore Orioles. And the Yankees actually didn't have any problems with their offense last night. They lose that game 9-7. I'm going to say Luis Gil bounces back. And I do like the pitching matchup for the Yankees against Sean Manaea, the lefty. Let's go Yankees minus 140 over the Mets, my only baseball play today.
All right. We are loaded again tomorrow. Can't wait. Our NFL betting guide comes out. Sal Pal's on the show. Semi's in studio. Yeah, let's do it, baby.
Eagles to win the NFC East.
Yep. Plenty of guide. Almost all NFL talk tomorrow. Maybe mentions the Chiefs. Secret weapon for the upcoming season. Profiles of every team, advanced stats, proven betting systems, betting trends. Makinen's great. Everyone has an opinion and a pick. Win total, props, futures. Matt did the AFC West. To get the guide, you must be a VSiN Pro subscriber. Get it. $1.99. 13 months, less than 50 cents a day. Code FTM. Promo code FTM. Get it now. Become a subscriber. Get the guide. You'll have it tomorrow morning. VSiN.com/subscribe. VSiN.com/subscribe. All right. What? Anything else on the baseball card? I mean, look, the Guardians won again. The Astros won again.
Padres won again.
Yep. The Mariners lost, right? They cannot hit. It's ridiculous. And here, boy, how things have changed in that division. Astros only 4 back.
Red Sox did finally lose a game.
Yeah, you said that. You were concerned about that game, right? You had that one, right? And Ohtani with a big night. Who would you pick right now? You want Ohtani or Harper MVP?
It's Ohtani right now.
Okay. And then the Phillies finally lose.
Ohtani was in an ideal spot in that lineup, too, between Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Even in the leadoff spot now, Ohtani's moved up with the Betts injury. He's been red hot. He's got 25 homers. I didn't think, he got off to a really slow start, just like Aaron Judge did. But Ohtani and Judge, since those slow starts, have been on record-setting paces. And I would say right now Ohtani is your MVP, and there's no doubt Aaron Judge odds-on favorite to be MVP in the AL. Judge homered again last night.
Mm-hmm. Top bottom, ROI. Most profitable team in baseball, the Guardians, who keep winning. You're up over 20 units this year on Cleveland. Number 2, Yankees. Number 3, the Nationals. What a story, even though it hasn't been great this week. Milwaukee, number 4. Baltimore, number 5. Now they this losing streak. Come on, guys. Worst ROI, the White Sox. You're down almost 30 units on the White Sox. Miami, down 17 units. The Blue Jays, the A's, and the Astros. Even though the Astros are now hot, still 5th worst ROI in baseball. And the most profitable pitcher is Williams. You're up 11 units. Bibby, number 2. Suarez, Keller. I think, what are the Pirates are, when it's Keller and Skeens going back on a 14-3 run. Keller and Heel run at the top 5. Mm-hmm. Rogers, who goes tomorrow, won his last time out. Mariners blew a 2-0 lead. Worst ROI for a starter, down 10 units and change. Haney, 950. Then Crawford, Flexen, and Steele. Worst ROI with some numbers there. All right, draft tonight. I know you're looking forward to it. You can't wait. First round. And you're right. Who's to say we won't? You expect a lot of trades. We had the big one last night. The Rockets at least talking to the Suns about Durant. Bridges goes to the Knicks. Knicks down to 9-1 to win the title. The Nets have all these picks. Maybe is Cam Johnson on the move? What else is going to happen? Houston can make a deal. And certainly, do the Spurs make a move? And you talk about this guy's going to go here, and everything blows up if there's one trade.
Might be a couple big moves. I expect at least, I would say, multiple trades tonight. And I'm not going to be stunned if Donovan Clingan from UConn goes number 1. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's always nice when you have a little bit of drama at number 1 and you don't know for sure who's going to be the top pick, and that's the scenario we've got tonight.
You didn't watch live and miss a show, whatever, always check out the podcast. Go up there, vsin.com. Great show tomorrow. Can't wait to do mostly NFL, a little bit of NBA recap. It'll be fun to grade all the props, too, and all the line movement. So, Sal Pal, Femi, NFL Guide comes out. Predictions, props, future bets. Gil up next. Have a good one.